methods. So my background is GIS and remote sensing, earth scientist by trade. What I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today is my philosophy, and I think that if we want to enforce marine protection and engender ocean advocacy, a word I can never say, we really have to link people to ocean space. When we talk about Yosemite, it's because you bring your kids there and you climb the mountains and you pick the flowers and you engage in the natural environment. It's because you're connected to that space that people protect it. So we bring awareness to marine protection by sharing information about what's there, about what's prohibited, why the activities are prohibited. We bring about that awareness, and that cultivates the action towards enforcement. So if we want to enforce MPAs, we need instruments, we need to monitor, but we also need to bring information to the youth and explain to them why these places are important. In my world, MPAs, I map ocean uses. It's not just about fishing, recreation, people littering on the beaches. So how do you share that information through Google products? That's what I want to know more about. I'm here today to learn more, to share with you what NOAA does, and hopefully find ways that we can leverage NOAA resources to improve how we share information and link people to ocean spaces. Thanks.
Octavio from Scripps, welcome.
My name is Octavio Alburto. I am assistant professor at Scripps Institution of Oceanography, and also I am coordinating the Gulf of California Marine Program. We are building this platform. It's called Terramar, and basically it's a platform that access to scientific data. It's open source. It's tools to promote cooperation, and also we are creating visualization tools. Right now we have more than 160,000 records of an underwater monitoring program that started in 1998. We have more than 2 million records of fishing landings from the official Mexican landings, and we have more than 600 gigabytes of satellite data to produce temperature, sea surface temperature, and currents, etc., etc. So I am here to request help from the Ocean Program, the Google Ocean Program, so we can expedite the building of this platform. And we are also promoting or generating collaboration agreements with Mexican agencies like the National Commission of Natural Protected Areas to implement this data and have like a health index, independent health index for all these reefs. And also we are creating collaboration agreements with the National Commission of Fisheries to transform how we capture the landings in Mexico. Thank you.
So I'm the Research and Program Manager with the Sustainable Fisheries Group at UCSD. And I'm here representing the Fish Forever Partnership, which is a collaboration between Environmental Defense Fund, RARE, and SFG. And it's focused on addressing overfishing in nearshore fisheries in the developing tropics. The linchpin of the Fish Forever approach is to set up exclusive access to fishing grounds for local communities. This is a management approach known as TERFs, and then also to establish no-take areas within the TERF. And the idea is that the TERF provides fishermen with the incentives for more sustainable fishing practices, and the no-take area allows fish and ecosystems to recover. Now, enforcement is a really important part of our project, so I'm really interested in how technology can help improve that. But also I think that what's really important is for local communities to have the incentives to actually develop and adopt new tech solutions. And so I think that this project offers a really nice opportunity for testing out some of these new tech applications where you have a strong enabling environment and people have the incentive to try out these new approaches. So I'm looking forward to talking to all of you about this, I guess. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Shah. I'm an engineer, and so my work and my research is focused around technology and ocean conservation issues, basically exactly what this is all about. And so a lot of the things I focus on are more based on very low cost options, since there's lots of very expensive and very capable systems out there, and a lot of those are open source. So just a few examples of some of those things is there's Solar Ocean, which is a Nat Geo funded project to use hobbyist drone technology to build ultra low cost drones for coastal protection. There's MPA Guardian. That's an app that's kind of what I call citizen science. This is citizen protection, so it's crowdsourcing. And some people have mentioned it. Ability to take a picture and upload it, saying if you see someone doing something in an M3 protected area they're not supposed to. And Ultra VMS, I've built a cell phone GPRS VMS system that's built off open hardware that costs very, very low amount of money. So those are just a few of the things that I work on, but I'm looking forward to talking to all of you about stuff.
Hi, I'm Andy Hock. I'm with Skybox Imaging, and I have a minute-long video, so I've got to kick this thing off before I do it out on stage. This video is from our recently launched, now on-orbit system, SkySat 1. Skybox Imaging is an information and analytics company based here in Mountain View, California. Our vision is to deliver unprecedented insight to daily change on a global scale. In order to do that, we're building a constellation of 24 high-fidelity satellite imaging systems providing sub-meter imagery, both panchromatic and MSI, as well as real high-def video from space, in order to provide the right data at the right time to inform decision makers in both business and government. When we have this full constellation on orbit, we're going to have intraday revisit that's taskable any place on Earth, paired with our web-scale, cloud-based data processing and analytics platform. This is really an awesome and powerful activity monitoring and change detection machine. So what I'm really excited to share with you guys today and learn about is how we can monitor some of these MPAs and contribute to MDA with you all. Thank you.
Virgil? Virgil from EarthNC.
I'm Virgil from EarthNC. I've been doing marine stuff for Earth and maps for a long time. But today I'm going to focus on our whale alert app, which we released 2 years ago in cooperation with NOAA, Stellwagen, the International Fund for Animal Welfare, and a lot of other team partners. It's an app for the East Coast. It helps protect right whales from ship strikes. It shows all the active management areas, seasonal and dynamic, as well as the Boston Acoustic Buoy Array. Neat new thing is we're actually just about ready with Whale Alert 2.0. Big add is we're adding the West Coast. We're adding a citizen sighting component for both coasts, so there'll be a species ID guide. They can report whale sightings. If the whale's dead, injured, or entangled, it actually looks at the user's location and directs them to call the correct regional authority to report that right away. All the sightings are also sent to our database that we're going to be able to enable sharing out to all basically the appropriate managers and all the organizations. And all that's part of a platform. We sort of have a concept called Ocean Alert, that learning how to do this for whales. We're going to be able to do this for other marine species worldwide, and also be able to add things like hazard reporting, the illegal fishing reporting, and lots of other neat things. So thank you very much.
I'm Jyotika Virmani. I'm the technical director for the Wendy Schmidt Ocean Health Xprize to develop pH sensors. Xprize is who I actually work for, not the Schmidt Ocean Institute, which gets confusing. Xprize drives innovation by incentivizing global scale competitions in the belief that they will drive radical breakthroughs and we can create a better future. And it's a great place to say this at Google, because I think we work on the same premise. The prizes target grand challenges and market failures. And I've got photos of some of our previous and current prizes. The first one was the Ansari Space Xprize to take people up into space. That was awarded about 10 years ago, so we're coming up to the 10-year anniversary. It was a $10 million prize, $100 million in private R&D, and it's now led to a $1.5 billion space tourism industry. So that is the impact of driving innovation forward in such huge incremental steps. I'm here because we have an ocean initiative in which we want to launch, over the course of 10 years, 5 prizes related to the ocean to tackle the ocean grand challenges. We've done 2, or we're doing 2. One was the oil spill technology Xprize, which is taking place already, and the one I'm working on. So we're looking for where are the next 3 radical areas of breakthrough in technology. So I'm here to listen and learn. Thank you.
Now we have Richard Jenkins from Saildrone.
So I'm the CEO of Selbe. Selbe is an autonomous unmanned platform for ocean research. It's totally calculations are on board. It's controlled. It's routed via iPhone, which goes through Iridium, so you can reroute it at any time. It doesn't need a ship to deploy, which is most technologies like gliders do need ships taken out to sea. Ships are really expensive, so our planning principles are happy to deploy from a dock and return to a dock for servicing. I'll talk about specification and our achievements. It carries 220 pounds of payload. We have between 5 and 10 watts steady-state power supply for payload. We can deliver 200 watts peak. It's currently Iridium short burst data for getting the measurements back to shore. Average speed 5.5 knots, maximum speed clocks at 14 knots. We sent it to Hawaii last October. It took 34 days to get to Hawaii. Average around 3 knots for the entire duration, being becalmed for 2 weeks. After Hawaii, we sent it south to Palmyra. We were asked by the Fisheries Game Department to do a demonstration of a policing mission down there. Palmyra was 1,000 miles south of Hawaii. It took us 18 days to get there. We did a lap of 12-mile radius. It took 40 hours to do a lap. You all know it's very hard to navigate in the Pacific, strong currents and light winds. But we could navigate without an issue, and we could hold station even as far as 3 degrees latitude. It's a perfect platform for surveillance. We are like to understand your needs of who the targets, who is policing, what instruments we can carry, and we'll go and try and find people who are doing these.
John Davis. There.
So ghost nets are fishing nets that have been lost or discarded at sea. Modern fishing nets are generally made of nylon, which means ghost nets stick around for a long time, continuing to fish and rebaiting themselves over and over and over again. It's estimated that over 100,000 marine mammals are entangled each year in ghost nets, like the endangered Hawaiian monk seal, in the lower left, and like the millions of birds, turtles, fish, and other animals are also entangled, like the endangered leatherback, I think that's leatherback, upper left. There may be hundreds of thousands of ghost nets throughout the world's oceans, based on the rate of net loss across a range of fisheries. The 10-ton beast here was captured off of northern Australia. I'm John Davis. I edit MPA News, the global forum on marine protected areas, and I also oversee marinedebris.info, the largest community of marine debris researchers and managers. Advances in MDA would not only be useful for MPAs, but could also be used to hunt ghost nets. It's not feasible to have hundreds of capture vessels sailing throughout the oceans looking for ghost nets. It would be way too inefficient and really costly. But what would be ideal is a system to spot and tag the nets remotely, either with aquatic drones like Saildrone that shoot a satellite tag in the net they encounter, or airborne drones that could somehow attach a virtual tag to nets that they see. And then you track them like marine animals and catch them. Right.
Exactly 90 seconds. All right. First of all, I'm Ignazio. I'm the Global Maritime Security Director at Robotics. Hey, I even took 2 seconds out to get that name. Basically, if you don't know us, we're a wave-powered, multi-sensor platform that's able to go around the world. It basically can operate from littoral to way out in the middle of the ocean, thousands of miles all by itself. It uses the wave to power itself, as you could just see. We did the Pacific crossing, went through approximately a dozen hurricanes and typhoons, leaving from San Francisco all the way into Australia, 9,000 plus miles. So let's talk about employment. What happens if you're not transmitting AIS? We can set up a picket line or a tripwire in any form you want. The ship will, or unknown vessel comes in, we detect it acoustically, so surface, semi-submersible, or even submersible craft. We're able to give you a bearing to that particular target. We're able to track that particular target, and when we're within range, we point the waveglider at it and give you a picture. So that's what happens if you're not transmitting AIS. So real-world operations, that was a nice video. This is the actual system being towed behind the waveglider, passive acoustic monitoring in Hawaii. Coming up next, you're actually going to get vectored information to tip and cue either aircraft or vessels or UAVs, whatever. This is real. What's happening is it's hearing the propeller from the craft. It's giving a bearing to the particular craft. There's AIS on board the waveglider, so we're showing that in this case. But if it's not, we're able to point and then trigger somebody to go out and interdict that particular threat. That's it.
I'm Kirsten Grorud-Colvert, and I'm from Oregon State University. I work with the Science and Marine Reserves Project, and over the past decade, our research has been driven by the question, are there patterns in the existing data about marine reserves and other marine protected areas? And can we use those patterns to understand what MDAs do and how we can best use them? So this data shows, actually, when we look at the ecological data, patterns do exist. We see increases in biomass, in density, in diversity, in size. And so we've been working to communicate that information to non-scientists so that policymakers, managers, the general public can take these data and make informed decisions. So our next question is, are there patterns in the global data on non-compliance in MDAs? And how can we use our current data, the future data, to answer questions about these patterns? Where, when, and why does MDA non-compliance occur? And how can we use the tools we've been talking about to generate the right kind of data to answer those questions? Does non-compliance vary by MDA size, by target species, by regulatory framework? So I hope we all can think about that during this meeting and talk about how we can be collecting data that will help us answer those questions.
Hi, I'm Jain. I'm with Management Consulting, but I also run the Fish 2.0 business competition. Fish 2.0 was created to connect seafood businesses with investors. We work with investors of all types, from philanthropists to impact investors to traditional investors and venture capitalists. We also work with both for-profit and nonprofit enterprises. And we work not only on building and growing the enterprises, but also on educating investors, because we believe that it's important that they all know what to talk about and what to ask when they meet each other, and it's also important for them to know when they see a really good deal or when they have a deal worth taking to an investor. We ran the first competition last year, and we are going to run a new competition in 2015. Technology is interesting for us because most of the, being based out of California, most of the investors I work with are interested in technology. We're interested both in businesses that are creating technologies that might be used for sustainable seafood, and also sustainable seafood companies who can use those technologies to advance the field. And so my interest is in doing what Rebecca Moore said, which is once you know what the technologies are out there, factor it into your thinking. We want to take it to scale and let all of the sustainable seafood companies know about them and think about how to use them and incentivize them to come up with solutions.
Good afternoon, my name is Ghislaine Maxwell. I am the founder of the Terramar project. That's the terramarproject.org, and I encourage you all to go visit that website. The Terramar project is a public-facing website that is aimed at connecting the general public to the high seas. We use a variety of tools to do that, most of them to education tools, so we develop educational platforms. We have a daily newspaper called The Daily Catch, and speak regularly at the United Nations because we support an ocean sustainable standalone development goal. We are here because we want to connect with other people who have data. We carry on the site Cape Mean Sea View. We hope to connect and have tracked animals on our site because we want the public to be aware of what's going on. We do this in an engaging, fun way that it goes into schools. We work with the Jason project, we work with Semester at Sea, and we're about to start working with the state of Texas to create programs to connect students and young people to what's happening on the ocean. It's fish don't vote, people do. So we need to connect the individual, young people, old people, people from all over the world to make the changes so we can support that. And we need important data resources, AIS, to be able to do that. Thank you.
And now Mark Gundersen from Marine Advanced Research.
Good afternoon, my name is Mark Gundersen. I'm the President and CEO of Marine Advanced Research. I'm here to talk about the WAM-V technology, or Wave Adaptive Modular Vessel. Our 44-foot WAM-V USV is an unmanned surface vessel that can change the way we enforce the boundaries of our marine protected areas and marine reserves. Time is running out for too many of the species in our waters, and we need to do something about it. 59% of the NPAs studied in a recent survey that was published in Nature were not ecologically distinguishable from non-NPAs. So basically, we have these areas that we've set up, and unfortunately, without enforcement, without some of the other tools, they're just like the surrounding areas that are fished. So one of the contributing factors was a lack of enforcement, and we can change that. At Marine Advanced Research, we have been chasing what we call the holy grail of unmanned systems, or unmanned vessels, for some time. We are finally at the point where we can produce a WAM-V USV capable of staying on station for 6 months through energy harvesting, sprint at sufficient speeds to monitor or intercept suspicious vessels, carry the sensors and communication equipment necessary to identify vessels that are fishing illegally, and report that information back to sea or land stations. This is all possible due to the unique capabilities of the WAM-V vessel class. She is 2 to 3 times lighter and more stable than comparable vessels. This 44-foot variant that's 22 feet wide can quickly fold and fit into a 40-foot container to be shipped anywhere in the world. Our goal at this workshop is to find the ideal partners so that together we can provide a full solution for MTA monitoring and enforcement. Thank you.
Bill Immerman.
Bill Immerman. I work on communication and computing for highly disadvantaged users. That's kind of how I got interested in the maritime domain, because I know I'm anthropomorphizing a bit, but unattended sensors are unattended for a reason. And so whether they're in space, whether they're under the ocean or on the seas, they are effectively highly disadvantaged users. So we've got technology that, especially connected with disruption-tolerant networking, that I believe is able, in an open protocol, open source, interoperable way, to and based on commodity and expensive hardware, to create a network, a wide area network of intermittently connected nodes, things that characterize, remote sensors. But we're not doing it, and there are a number of reasons that we're not doing it. I think it would change the paradigm if we did. Instead of asking, what can we build with 3 satellites to answer a certain sensor question, we could say, we've got sensors, what can we infer from those sensors? Can we do it quickly enough? And if not, what's the minimum effective dose that we need in terms of resource to answer that question? So that's what I'd like to do. I think it's at a maturity level where we can begin building actual answers to that answer operational needs now. But in addition, it'll give us a framework to answer some of the harder technical questions that come up in this area, and I've listed some of those. I'd like to talk with anyone who has some shared interest. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Russell Moffitt. Marine Conservation Institute, we've had a history of involvement in, at least in the United States, with some establishing and working to set up management plans for some very large and remote marine protected areas. The establishment of management, and that's kind of piqued our interest over the last decade in how to enforce things like this. So it's something we've been tracking for a long time, and it's great to see this group together talking about what the state of the art is today. I also manage a project called npatlas.org, striving to be a better and more informative. I hit the wrong button, sorry. Or, that's okay, I'll keep talking. You don't need to see that. Better and more informative atlas of where marine protected areas are globally, not just where they are, but how strongly are they protected, and if we can get information on it, how effectively are they managed and enforced. I also think it's a great platform to pull together a lot of site-specific information from all the sensors and data sources you've been talking about here, and showcase that to users that approach MDAs from a different angle. We also are launching an initiative called the Global Ocean Refuge System, which is basically a criteria body to like a gold, silver, and bronze for MDA strength and protection and effectiveness.
Hi, I'm Jeff Selbe from Marine Systems in Sunnyvale, right down the road. I'm representing a team of both George Guerrera and Blake Bullock, who are here with me as part of the global Northrup team. Blake and George are from the aerospace sector. I'm from the electronic systems sector. We pride ourselves in providing global mission solutions to our customers from undersea to outer space. I mean, it's sort of a cliche type way to put it, but I think many of you that know Northrop Grumman know that we're well versed in the global Hawks, in a lot of the larger ships. Where I work, we actually do a lot of the heavy machinery for submarines and for the aircraft carriers. But more importantly, we're here to absorb everything we're hearing and to offer our help and our capacity and capability from a technological standpoint to help address the problem and help solve the problem. And the company has a lot of great resources and bandwidth to do just that. So we're here to really just listen. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paul Ortiz. For the last 20 years, I've been one of NOAA's 14 prosecutors around the country. That's my trophy shot of when you catch a high seas drift net vessel and you seize the skipjack tuna on it. The prosecutor gets to go out there and hold the skipjack tuna. You know, for 20 years, I have been prosecuting fishermen, and when I'm not doing that, I'm thinking of new and exciting ways to prosecute fishermen. And I realized early on that, first of all, fishermen will put up with a lot if you ask them to, if you keep it cheap for them, if you let them know that it's a level playing field, that all the other fishermen they have to compete against have to do the same thing. And lastly, if you give them added value, they'll let you put vessel monitoring systems on it. Well, we're going to force it anyhow, but they'll buy into it. And that's really one of the things that we're looking for, is for the fleets to buy into it. The other thing I wanted to follow on is something that President Grimson said this morning, is the need for catch documentation and being able to follow fish through the stream of commerce. Because believe me, I love all this technology stuff. But unless I've got a Coast Guard cutter somewhere near that boat, when you take the picture of it, the boat's gone. By the time we can do something about it, the boat is gone, the fish is gone, there's nobody left for me to prosecute. I need to be able to find out where that fish is going and pick off the fish in some port, or ask another country to pick off the fish in some port. And as soon as you go after their fish and you cut into the economic gain from IUU fishing, that's when you really get their attention. Because up until that point, that fish is gone, and it may be coming right back into the United States. They took our fish, They take it away, it comes back, a month later because we can't track it. So that's one of the things where I'm looking for